There's three old phrases that I think are quite the words to live by, in my view. One is show me your friends and I'll show you your future. The other is you become the average of the five people you spend the most time with. And the third one is if your circle of friends does not inspire you, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. There is very little, if no exception, to this sort of rule of life. One needs to be very careful of their associations with other people. We all need to be making sure that we are not only associating with people who lift us up rather than hold us back or drag us down, we also need to be people who lift others up rather than holding them back or dragging them down. And if you feel that any sort of relationship is like that it is holding you back or dragging you down, then that relationship deserves some real evaluation. I actually did a podcast episode about this one time, telling the, let me see if I can find the, it was the tale of a woman called Lola Montez. Robert Greene wrote about this in his first big bestseller called The 48 Laws of Power. It was law number 10 called Infection. Avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. And his summary was that you can die from someone else's misery. Emotional states are as infectious as diseases. You may feel you are helping the drowning man, but you're only precipitating your own disaster. The unfortunate sometimes draw misfortune upon themselves. They will also draw it upon you. So associate with the happy and the fortunate instead. And he writes about the life story of Lola Montez. Back in the 1840s, she was a famous dancer, and her life could be summed up as one giant catastrophe after another. Everyone she touched ended up either dead, broke, or ostracized from their community. She decided that her mission would be to woo and conquer men who were prestigious, successful, and powerful, and thus she became a courtesan. You can consider her a sort of 1850s version of what we now know today as a gold digger. Her real name was not Lola Montez. She was born Marie Gilbert. You know, you would think with the last name Montez, she was born perhaps in Spain or Latin America, someplace like that. No, she was born in Ireland. Well, Lola found herself in the role of a courtesan, a prostitute of the royal court. Today's society would call that a gold digger. She only sought out men with high social standing in the community that she could use for her own gain. Once she would have her hooks in these men, their slow demise began, and one of her victims was King Ludwig of Bavaria, who felt compelled to help Lola, and yet once he was warned of the dangers of his affair with her, he could not seem to resist Lola's order, and almost found his once peaceful country in the state of civil war. It was not until then that the king finally ordered Lola to leave, but a month after she left, King Ludwig was forced to relinquish his throne anyway. There are many men who suffered because of their association with Lola Montez. King Ludwig said he was bewitched by Lola, but in reality Lola was this unstable, incurable, infectious character type. That's not to say that these characteristics are only restricted to women, certainly not. There's plenty of men in society that display this sort of behavior. But it is to say that there are some people whose emotions are so powerful that they can infect the very soul of the people that they touch. Infectors have a few common indicators. They draw misfortune upon themselves, they have this turbulent past, a long line of broken relationships, an unstable career, a forceful character that sweeps you up and makes you lose all of your reason, a desire to destroy and unsettle, and they're chronically dissatisfied. And you can observe the overall negative effect that they have on the world around them. So all you can do when you encounter one of these infector types, don't argue with them, because that's part of how they trap you. Don't try to help them, no matter what they say. Don't pass the person on to your friends, otherwise you will become enmeshed along with them. And simply flee the infector's presence. Suffer the consequences. You see, nobles, the risk of associating with infectors is that you will waste valuable time and energy trying to free yourself. Through a sort of guilt by association, you will also suffer in the eyes of others. On the other side of the spectrum of infectors are those people who attract happiness through their good cheer, their natural buoyancy, their intelligence. They're a source of pleasure. These are the people who are worth associating with, to share in the prosperity that they draw upon themselves. All positive qualities can infect us, but taking advantage of this emotional side of osmosis may be difficult. But if you are, perhaps miserly by nature, then you must associate with the generous, and they will infect you, opening up everything that is tight and restricted to you. For it is only generous souls throughout history that have managed to attain greatness. If you're gloomy, start gravitating to the cheerful. If you're prone to isolation, force yourself to befriend gregarious people. Never associate with people who share your defects. They will only reinforce everything that holds you back, and only create associations with positive affinities. There's a quote from Baltasar Gracian, and I think it's more precious than all the therapy in the world. Recognize the fortunate so that you may choose their company, and the unfortunate so that you may avoid them. Misfortune is usually the crime of folly, and among those who suffer from it, there is no malady more contagious. Never open your door to the least of misfortunes, but if you do, many others will follow in its train. Do not die of another's misery. The resources spent should be worth the resources gained. Yes, quite so. Don't agree with the last bit about having the same defects because I feel people can help each other through that. Perhaps. But probably the best way to help each other is to find others who perhaps have the opposite of you, and learning to emulate from their behavior, from their habits. But I get the point of the statement, yes. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas for future videos, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. You can also follow me on Twitter @LordRexworth for more updates and behind-the-scenes content. And if you want to support the channel, check out my Ko-fi or Throne pages. Links are in the description. Finally, be sure to visit LordRexworth.com and follow me across all platforms. That's LordRexworth.com. Until next time, I wish you all the best, and God bless.